Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. Today in 1910 was published a book, The Textbook of Psychiatry. It was its 8th or ninth edition and was a classic textbook for psychiatrists. This is notable because it was the first occasion on which a disease that we've become terribly familiar with was given its name, Alzheimer's disease. Alois Alzheimer had been doing research on a patient whom he called Auguste D, a woman who was suffering with all the symptoms that we're now so familiar with. And he followed her from 1901 to 1906, monitoring all the stages of her gradual deterioration. And then, of course, when she died, he was able to be part of the post-mortem and discovered that what happens when someone gets this disease is that their brain atrophies and brain cells that die are not replaced. And so he gave a lecture in which he talked about this case, and it was given very little response. Hardly any questions followed the lecture. The psychiatrists that were all there were really waiting for the lecture which was to follow, which was about a sexual disorder, which seemed much more interesting than the work that Alzheimer has done. But of course now we know how absolutely crucial the identification of that illness was, and now we know that something like 60% of people who suffer with dementia do so because of Alzheimer's disease. It's a terrible thing, and I'll bet there's nobody watching who doesn't know somebody who is or has suffered from it. It made me want to be very responsive today to the needs of those with that illness, and particularly those who care for them. But it also made me reflect on the importance of us having some self-awareness, because that's, I think, one of the most debilitating things about the disease, that people lose any sense of self. And this is largely because they lose their memory, and because they can't remember recent things, or in the later stages things further away. They have no sense of who they are historically, and this can be something that I can't imagine what that must be like. But it led me to want to value the opportunity that I have to reflect on things that have happened in my past that have helped to make me who I am, give me a sense of who I am, and even more so, perhaps, to value those friends who have known me for a very, very long time, people who know my history, who know what I've been through without me having to tell them and remind them, who've shared a lot of it with me. They carry in themselves part of who I am, because they know who I am historically, how I've grown to be the person I have become. And that kind of really long-term friendship is so valuable and to be treasured. And I'm very grateful to those who are my long-term friends, and want to suggest today that we all say thank you for that privilege, if we have people like that who can help us to know who we are, because they've always known who we are, at least from the time we got to know them, but probably for a very long time.